¿Qué tal, ghouls? Soy Rikk R Treat y están viendo el Pumpkin Patch.
In the name of Satan, I place a curse upon you!
This is Rikk R Treat, and in today's episode, I'm going to do a review of a brand new album that just came out recently. It is by a band called the Horrorscopes. They are from the motherland, Mexico. And this album came out late last year. I believe it came out December 7th, if I'm not mistaken. It's an 8-track album, approximately 30 minutes, called BATKIN. If I can figure it out, the logo will be right here. Artwork's pretty sick. It has a pumpkin with bat wings. Very All Hallows EP AFI-esque artwork, which is pretty sick. Yeah, this is a great album. I do definitely recommend you guys check it out. I'm going to go through a few of the songs, let you know what my favorite and my least favorite tracks are, and like I said, a little bit about each song. So I think overall one of the coolest things about this album is that instead of taking direct influence from the Misfits, the Horrorscopes have taken more influence from bands like AFI, like a Balzac, which is that Japanese horror punk band that I assume you all know about. I feel like they take those sounds and mesh them, whereas a lot of other horror punk bands sound more like Graves era Misfits, which isn't a bad thing, but it is really refreshing that they have a different influence than those ones do, or a different noticeable influence than those bands do. I'm going to say, well, to start it off, track 1 is called Pale Chicks Go to Hell. Like I said, very AFI influenced. You can definitely tell within the riffs, within the vocals, this band's singer really has that, like, on the more aggressive songs, has that Davey Havoc era, or that Davey Havoc sounding vocal style, which is awesome because AFI is one of my favorite bands of all time. This song comes in heavy, comes in hard, definitely gets you interested in listening to more. It's really cool because it does have the signature horror punk whoa, has like a clip in it, like a lot of bands do. Definitely a little reminiscent of Calabrese, in my opinion. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, just definitely heavy hitting, really good song, with a really cool, like, it's not a longer song. It goes, verse, bridge, verse, chorus, something like that. The chorus is a little bit more catchy, and it definitely just, gets you pumped up for the next couple songs. The second song is called Dead Love. By no means is the song bad, but I do consider this the worst track on the album, or at least the weakest, just because it goes from this really heavy-hitting song with the first one to something a little bit more mellow. It kind of goes into that boo-wop style where it's a little bit more 50s influenced, which is cool, but I think the vocal change up to being a little bit more mellow, it like leaves the dynamic a little off, at least placement wise. So maybe if this song was thrown in somewhere else, it would have, resonated a little bit more with me. But like I said, by no means does that make this a bad song. I think the highlight of this track in particular is that it has theremin in the chorus with the vocals, which really is a great addition to it and kind of keeps it a little fresh, especially when it's trying to throwback to something like doo-wop. You know, you kind of keep that spooky, you know, old school horror vibe with the theremin in there, which is really cool. Luckily for me, who, you know, was hoping it would stay more energetic, it does become more energetic in track 3. On track 4, the coolest part of that song is that there is like a really interesting metal influence solo towards the end. I like that because, you know, the whole album is really punk. Like everything's, you know, or at least for the most part, maybe punk core, horror punk core. However, this solo is very metal, kind of reminds me of like a little Judas Priest. So it has like a really refreshing twist to the song. So I really appreciated that. And it, you know, the song already was really cool. It started with an old school horror clip. Has a lot of woes in sort of style like Balzac, where has that like whoa, which a lot of horror punk bands do, but the way that Balzac does it and the way that the Horrorscopes do it in these songs, it sounds very similar. And there's a very particular way that they do it that catches my ear. Maybe that's just me. Track 6 is my favorite of the whole album. It is called Witchslap. This one's really cool because it has more of a Latin twist to it. There's like a Latin style section with a solo in it, and a really heavy breakdown. Definitely for a punk band, the fact that there's a breakdown like this is really cool. There's some double pedal on the drums, which for me is really cool because I pay attention to things like that because I'm a drummer. The guitar playing on this particular track has a little bit more palm muting stuff, which for me, being, you know, coming up in the hardcore scene, is really cool. Like I appreciate things like that. On the next track, or with that, like the ending of that track is really cool because it goes from being heavy to being a little bit more melodic, and it has like some gothy keyboard sounding stuff that like transitions really well into a more melodic, emotional sounding 7th track. This one's cool because it is, you know, it's mid-tempo, but it's not boring. It keeps that like sort of a build-up style where the whole song is really like built up and emotional. I really appreciate that they did that. It's very reminiscent of The Theft by Atreyu, if you guys know that song. Very melodic, but still has that like emotional level to it. And lyrically, it's really great. The main line is "Hold me because I'm falling like a fall leaf." Throughout the entire album, it's more poetic than a lot of horror punk bands. You know, cliche-wise, horror punk is that monster, whoa, which may be a way that, you know, artists are saying more than just that. But bands like, you know, early AFI, Balzac, the Horrorscopes, for example, it seems like they're using a little bit more realistic metaphors in certain things, or a little bit more like it's dark, but it's a little bit gothier, I guess, versus the cliche like monster movie references, which I like either, but you know, that's just what they ended up doing. Track 8 is really cool because it's actually the reason why I purchased the album. I, you know, had seen this album on online, and I saw that they did this cover, and it's a cover by a band called La Union, and the song is called Lobo Hombre en Paris, which is a really cool song, and they do a really great horror punk twist to it. A little surprised that they stayed so close to it and didn't include the wolf clip. I feel like they should have done that, However, they did make it their own by putting some horror punk woes and making it a little bit more aggressive than the original track. Just to summarize, I think you guys should really check this album out. Lyrically, it's really good. It's a little bit more poetic than most horror punk albums that come out. Like I said, this falls in line with early AFI and Balzac sonically and maybe even lyrically. The Horrorscopes, I hope that they come to the States, or at least to TJ, and play some shows, because hell, I would go over from San Diego to TJ just to see them. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Have you checked out the Horrorscopes album, BATKIN? If you have, what are your thoughts on it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you not give a shit? Are you watching? All right, well, just to let you guys know, this is probably one in maybe a series of reviews that I'm planning on doing. And yeah, if you guys have any ideas for other albums that are relatively new, you know, maybe December of 2017 or November of 17 to, you know, something that's coming up, let me know if you want me to review your album or if you have a band in mind that I should review their album. All right, well, I'll see you guys next time. This is Rikk R Treat, and this has been The Pumpkin Patch.